calling the Committee of the Whole meeting for Monday, March 27, 2017 to order. And I'm going to begin by asking Deputy Mayor Henderson if there's any additions to the agenda.
Yes, Your Worship. The additions are a memo from the Director of Public Works regarding the establishment of a new school crossing at King Street East at Abbott Boulevard, Cobourg. And an additional item is the Ontario Senior Games in reference to the summer session that will be later discussed by Councillor Darling. I actually recommended that these matters be added to the agenda.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? And it's carried. Are there any declarations of interest from members of council tonight? Seeing none, we will proceed. And I just want to remind everyone that some of the feedback I've had from people who are watching on live streaming, they're having a little bit of difficulty hearing voices. So I just encourage you to, speak loudly when you're talking into the microphone. So I will now, we do not have anything under economic development or general government services. So I'm going to move the chair over to Councillor Darling for Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to let everyone know the over 55 summer games are being held. We have an open house here in Cobourg Wednesday, March 29th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Cobourg Community Centre in the Spoulon Room. And following the success of the Provincial Winter Games held in Cobourg in past February, the Summer Games Committee is working hard at organizing some summer events. So they'd like people to get in that are interested to come out and meet them, meet the conveners, find out more about participating, having fun, and enjoying the camaraderie of the Summer Games. There are 11 events that you can participate in. It's open to all 55 plus across the Kawartha Lakes, Peterborough, and Northumberland area. This is our District 12. So just want to put that plug in for Wednesday, and hopefully we get a lot of people turning out for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm now going to pass the chair over. We have quite a few items under Public Works, so I'm going to pass the chair over to Councillor Rowden, and obviously I'd like to make a public announcement that certainly all of council and staff are, our thoughts are with you, Councillor Rowden. We know you've just gone through a very, very difficult time in your life, and we're here to support you if you need it.
Well, thank you, Your Worship, and to you and all the staff, I thank you very much for all your condolences. My wife had a rough year. There will be a celebration for Cindy on the 29th of April at the Baltimore Community Center from 1 to 4, and if anyone would like to come, they're certainly welcome. I have a caterer coming and meet the family and have a good afternoon to remember some of the great times we had together. So thank you very much for that, and certainly thanks to all the public that have been calling me and sending me emails and whatever. If you need any information on anything, it's on the Ellison website from Port Hope and the Ganaraska Conservation Authority. We are asking people in lieu of flowers to buy a tree in Cindy's memory. So other than that, that's basically my thing. She made me promise that I would stay on the council and not be taking time off. So we got a whole month I have to be busy. So anyways, council members, I'll start with the first part on my agenda tonight. We have a memo from the Director of Public Works regarding the authorization to enter into an encroachment agreement for the property owners and the town of Cobourg for the property located at 319 Division Street in Cobourg. And the action recommended that council authorize the mayor and municipal clerk to enter into an encroachment agreement with Richard Riley and Stephanie Riley for the property known as 319 Division Street, Cobourg, which encroaches approximately 0.48 of a foot onto municipal owned property. And I guess that's probably about 6 inches maybe when you get down to with elementary. But if there's any questions, I'll refer them to probably our treasurer here, maybe, I'm not sure, or our planning department. Any questions in regards to that? All in favor of the recommendation? Carried. The second item tonight is a memo from the Director of Public Works regarding the awarding of a James Street East reconstruction tender. And the action recommended that council authorize the award of the reconstruction of James Street East project to Bain Construction Limited, who submitted the low bid of $676,014.95 plus HST, as approved in our 2017 budget. And Your Worship, this is a street that's been put off now for quite a number of years, and I'm certainly glad our Director of Public Works has finally got this to go ahead this summer. Any questions in regards to this? Mayor Braconier first, and then...
Not a question, Chair Rowden, just a comment. So once again, it shows how the town and lakefront utilities are working together, because the water services on James Street in that section were on our capital budget for 2017 as well. So again, they've got together and done everything all at the same time, which is I guess that's one of the big advantages of having our dirt team in action.
Exactly. And Councillor McCartney, any question?
No, just to say I'm pleased that this project's getting started. I live on that street, and we'll all be delighted to take detours to see this completed. But my question through you to the Director of Public Works is there an anticipated date of starting the construction at this time?
Mr. Chairman, through you to Councillor McCarthy, we don't know until we give the contractor formal notification that he's got the job of what his schedule is. We don't know how many other projects he already has on his books, but normally the work starts early to midsummer and is completed in about 2.5 months. 2.5 to 3 months is the typical duration.
Any other questions in regards to the James Street? And I'll ask for the question. All in favor? Carried. Item number 3 is a memo from the Director of Public Works regarding the purchase of a new standardized transit bus for the town of Covert. Excuse me. And the recommendation is that council approve the purchase of a new 8mm low-floor accessible transit bus from Creative Carriage Limited at a cost of $166,500 plus tax through the Metrolinx Transit Procurement Initiative as approved in the 2017 capital budget. And Your Worship, if we get this in before the end of the month, we do get the discounted price which is quoted to us. So if there's any questions, I'll put them towards the Director. Deputy Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To Director Thrasher, my only question is, I have no questions with the action recommended. My only question is, I know when we get new buses, we have to move to an AV audio towards accessibility standards. And my question is that built into the price of these new buses, or is that something yet we have to address?
It's not built into the price. No, it isn't. But we do have a contract now with a company to install that technology in our existing buses, and we'll add that bus on to his order too.
Any other questions? Councillor McCartney.
Thank you, the Chair. Through you to the Director. Is this for a very specifically designed Wheelstrand bus, or are there options that may enhance the experience for people with disabilities?
This is a bus that will be similar in many ways to our existing wheels bus. I'm not aware that it has any unique features. However, it was spec'd by Metrolinx for this particular purpose, so I expect it to have all the required features.
Well, in particular, follow-up question, if you don't mind. I believe the current Wheelstrans has steps. Will this have a loading ramp?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, this will definitely have a ramp.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any other questions for Mayor Braconier?
Thank you, Chair Rowden. And again, not a question, just a comment, because it's not often we get compliments on staff reports. But we did, from the Corporate Taxpayers Association, get a lot of support for the report that Director Barry Thrasher wrote. They thought it was a very thorough, complete, and well-explained report. So I think it's important that the public knows that there are people watching and are willing to actually give recognition where recognition is due.
Thank you, Mayor, and that's exactly true. We certainly don't give our staff enough credit sometimes, and I think that's just through neglect. Any more questions, is there, on that? Call for the vote then. All in favor? Carried. Item number 4, we have a memo from the Director of Public Works regarding the establishment of a new school crossing, King Street East at Abbott Boulevard in Cobourg, and the action recommended that Council authorize the preparation of a bylaw authorizing the establishment of a new school crossing on King Street East and Abbott Boulevard. And again, if you people remember, we've had a lot of questions in regards because of the schools in the East End, and this is one of our quick fix items to come up with to help those children to cross that street to get over to the Giargamo school. So hopefully this will alleviate some of the problem. Is there any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Item number 5, there's a memo from the Bylaw Enforcement Policy Coordinator regarding a bylaw to enter into a maintenance easement agreement with Union Gas Limited to supply natural gas to the buildings and premises located within the North Am Industrial Park. And it recommendation that Council authorize the preparation of a bylaw for the Mayor and Municipal Clerk to enter into an agreement with Union Gas Limited for a maintenance easement located at the North Am Industrial Park at 740 Division Street in Cobourg. Any questions in regards to this? Councillor Darling?
Thank you, Councillor Rowden. My understanding, these gas mains have been in the natural park for some years now. Is this a renewal of a bylaw, or is it just a bylaw that has been overlooked and they need an easement to do their repairs?
Probably have to turn that over to our municipal clerk here. Is that it? Is it?
Through you, Chair, through your worship to the council member, this was exactly what you said, Councillor Darling. This is a cleanup bylaw, so it's a maintenance easement which allows to Union Gas Limited to install as well as repair pipelines and apprentices. So it was determined that this is not just the only municipality. There's some other areas where that these rights were not in place during the request for new services, something that they've just been determined, so they've cleaned this up by asking us for a maintenance easement.
Okay, thank you.
And Mayor Braconier, you're next.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Rowden. So again, another comment. So what's happening at Northern Industrial Park? We not only have businesses that are expanding, but we have new businesses in Northern Industrial Park. And so the service requirements for gas are greater, and they are actually have to install larger supply lines to meet the demands of the expanding and new businesses in Northern Industrial Park. So really, it's a good news story.
Thank you, Councillor McCartney.
Thank you, Councillor Rowden. Through you to whomever, if Union Gas has to engage in installation or some kind of construction that actually possibly could interfere with normal use of the roads and such, how much notice are they required to give if there is any interference, if anybody knows?
I'll refer that question to our Director of Public Works. He deals with that all the time, likely.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Councillor McCarthy, Union Gas is typically very, very good to work with and give us plenty of time, and they come out very quickly if we have an emergency on our part. So I'm not sure if there's a required amount of time, but they always give us plenty.
Any other questions? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. And item number 6, a memo from the Environmental Technician regarding Canadian Water and Wastewater Association, CAAA, support for the national and the international wastewater consortium about flushable products. In an action recommended that Council grant approval to the Canadian Water Association, CAAA, for the usage of a town of Cobourg conjunction with other municipal partners on all statements pages addressing concerns. This thing's jumping all over here. Conjunction with municipal partners in all statement concerns with flushable products, and our wastewater plants have been having problem in the last 2 or 3 years in regards to the wipes and flushable things that are not biodegradable. They just bung up all the machines, and they cost a lot of extra aggravation and money to the town. So if there's any questions, I'll refer them to our Director of Public Works, Councillor Darling.
Yes, through you probably to the mayor. I'm just wondering if it would be possible to put some sort of an insert in Lakefront Utilities. I know lots of times they have inserts in the billing, and with a list of these products, so people that aren't watching tonight or don't hear of this through council, that they could get further information on that.
Through you, Chair Rowden, I can certainly talk to Lakefront Utilities about that. They, like many organizations, are going to paperless billing. So, but I'll see there, how many customers they actually have, where they're sending out bills, and whether or not there's a notice that we could add in. So I'll take that on. We have I have a meeting early in April, so I'll look into it at the meeting at that time.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mayor. And in the past, there has been a notification go out. I remember about a year or two ago that this was a problem with Lakefront, and they did advertise it. But being it's wastewater and it's public works, it's under our umbrella that the town itself is responsible for making sure. So I think we actually should send notices out from the town as well on the actual damage that it does to our equipment. So, any other questions on that? Yes, Councillor Seguin.
Just to you, Councillor Rowden, is this an ongoing thing? You mentioned there has been damages in the past. Have there been any changes once the word gets out that there is plugging, there is concerns? Have there been any changes in consumer habits, I guess my question is?
Yes and no. I believe that it has reduced somewhat in the past few years, but what happens, people do have a tendency to move into town, and there's other people that don't remember that this is not a flushable item, and they just automatically do it the easy way. It's like recycling. People get lazy and it all goes in the garbage, and it's an educational program, really. It's try to teach people the right thing to do to make it easier for the town and the wastewater management. So it's something that has to be looked at as far as going out there in the public education. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Our next item is a letter from Hope Bergen, Cobourg resident, regarding locations for the placement of Cobourg transit bus shelters in Cobourg, and an action recommended. We received the letter for information purposes, and further the letter be sent to Public Works staff for considerations of future locations for transit bus shelters in the town of Cobourg. And any questions? Good, Councillor McCartney.
Thank you, Chair Roden. I'd just like to share with Council and staff that there is already a list of potential sites, and this is also going to be on the April 19th Accessibility Advisory Committee agenda, because last year we did the bus route ride and looked at potential sites. So we're hoping to provide some recommendations, much in line with what Hope Bergeron was saying, for the sites that would very much help people that are waiting for bus with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCartney. And would you make sure that they give that information to our Director of Public Works when they make a recommendation?
Well, the Deputy Director is on the committee, so he's sure to get it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions in regards to that side? I know it's great because we did get funding for some of the bus, 10 bus shelters, I believe, and that's a good news story, because now we can have more distributed within the town, where it gets a little breezy in the wintertime there. People are standing out waiting for the bus. Any other questions? If not, can I call for the vote, please? All in favor? Thank you. Carried. And that is my agenda for tonight, there, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Rowden. We do not have anything under protection services tonight, then so I'm going to pass the chair over to Councillor Burcat for planning and development services.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have one item tonight, a memo from the Director of Planning and Development regarding an application for a draft approval of a plan of subdivision, New Amherst Village Community, Stage 2, Phase 2, New Amherst Limited. The action recommended that Council approve the draft plan of subdivision and associated conditions application to Stage 2, Phase 2 of the New Amherst Village Community as affixed to the planning report as Schedule B. Are there any questions in regards to this? Deputy Mayor Henderson?
Through you, Mr. Chair, will Mr. McGlashan be making just a summary comment at all, or I'm just asking?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As my report indicates, New Amherst Limited have been progressing along with their construction program over a number of years. They're currently under construction with Stage 2, Phase 1, which is located south of the east-west linear park in the central portion of New Amherst community. And they certainly would like to plan ahead and keep pace with their development and ensure that there are enough draft-approved lands in effect to seamlessly move from one phase into another. And so the approximately 3 years ago, a public meeting was held on all of Stage 2, and because the town has adopted a sewer allocation policy, only certain sections or phases are actually draft approved at a time, just to ensure that sanitary sewer allocations are done in an orderly and progressive manner. In this case, as I indicated, Phase 1 of Stage 2 is progressing very well. We're at a point where Stage 2, Phase 2 can be draft approved, and we are incorporating all of the same conditions that are applicable to previous phases, and the proposed draft approval conforms to all provincial policy, municipal standards, technical requirements, as well as the sanitary sewer allocation policy. So, Mr. Chairman, my recommendation is that we proceed with the draft approval with the conditions, and as per normal, the developer would have to return to council for final approval once all of the conditions are satisfied. I'd be happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you, Mr. McGlashan. Any questions from members of council? Mayor Braconier?
Thank you, Chair Burcat. It's not related to this exactly, but when we talk about sewage capacity allocation, I think at some point it would be nice for council to know how much allocation has already been committed, and how much is left once that commitment is once that commitment has been met, and then we would have some idea of how much we have in the future.
Mr. Chair, through you to the Mayor, the Public Works Department has undertaken, as of late 2016, a sanitary sewer reserve capacity study. Stantec Consulting has undertaken that process, so maybe I'll just pass that along to Mr. Thrasher. He can elaborate a little bit more.
Yes, we carry out these reserve capacity analysis studies every few years, and as Director of Planning just mentioned, the latest one was done just this past late summer and fall. So all of that development is taken into account in these studies.
Any other questions from members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Okay, we do not have any items under community services. So, Mr. Larmer, that takes us to the next item. Right. Oh,
Your Worship, just a quick comment on the unfinished business on the Darcy Street traffic study, Public Works. That is one item that's coming forward as a public meeting on April the 6th at the CC Center, I believe, at 7 o'clock. Am I right, Director Thrasher? Yes. So that's for the public as well. I believe the notices have gone out to the residents on Darcy Street, and we hope to have people out that would either support or against whatever we're putting up in the study. Okay.
go ahead.
Your Worship, the unfinished business is listed in the agenda, and there is a closed session item.
Deputy Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. That council meeting closed session in accordance with Section 239 of the Municipal Act SO 2001 regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal local board employees, and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board.
All in favor? It's carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Darling.